Astronauts to the moon.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism, back again with another video for you. Today I wanted to talk about this world that we live in, the globally accepted pretend land, otherwise known as the spinning ball Earth. Now, some people, and I'll call them human beings, they still have control of their faculties, and so they can think for themselves, they can see past the deception. But simply put, there's others. And the other group, I'll call them not human beings, but rather we already know these things, who like to trust and take others' word for it. You know them, the brave types, that think they're smart, so they go out on a limb and trust science, who is 100% right today. And if they find something that they were wrong about, well, they just fix it. And what do you know? Right again. I'm impressed. Oh, you can link to Wikipedia, huh? A Snopes article. Oh, nice. SmarterThanThat.com. Wow. Genius, I must admit. But us human beings have it's what's called a brain, and we can see when something ain't right. And, you know, like that hole that the 757 left in the Pentagon, or Building 7 that just, oops, happened to fall down. How about the presidents who can't quite keep their story straight?
He told us the operatives had been instructed to ensure that the explosives went off at a point that was high enough to prevent people trapped above from escaping.
Or those who trust an old drunk Uncle Buzz.
When we got back into the lunar module, we took off our heavy backpacks, and along with other weighty items, we threw them out on the lunar surface along with some garbage bags to lighten our load for liftoff.
There went something.
What you talking about, Aldrin? Wait, you mean the life support backpacks? You threw them out with the door open? On the moon?
Looked like a portable life support system.
Oh. Yeah, well, I guess who needs that, right? No one's ever taken off from the surface of the moon before. You got this. Just repressurize the LEM. Nobody will even know that you had to take off those suits to throw them out. And that the door had to be open. The conditions on the lunar surface they're just fine. Science will come up with some crazy excuse or story, and then just call it science. You guys are in the clear. My lips are sealed.
There comes the other place.
Yeah, I wouldn't even worry, Buzzy. People are in love with that ball. You could basically get away with murder. I bet you could even take up that little apron thing and have a Masonic ritual. It's all good. All the NASA fanboys will swear on your behalf. You're an idiot if you don't think we landed on the moon. You're a knob end if you even question it. The Earth is spherical. Someone told you.
The seismometer recorded both the impacts of those portable life support systems.
Yeah, and we know how important being cool is, right? But it means you gotta make excuses for this. Yeah, that's real. For those of you who still buy this stuff, wake up. No snooze. No more time for that kind of stuff. No time to make excuses. We've heard them all. We know light bends, refraction, it's a mirage, Fata Morgana. Oh no, not gravity. Not again. The force that has no equal or opposite. Oh boy. I can't take it anymore. So atmospheric refraction is a deviation of light from a straight line as it passes through the atmosphere due to the variables in the air density as a function of altitude. Near the ground or near the water, it can produce mirages and can make distant objects appear to shimmer or ripple, to elevate or lower, to stretch or shorten, and can appear with or without a mirage. Atmospheric refraction causes items to appear higher in the sky than they are. Scattering of ice crystals and other particles are responsible for other such phenomenon as halo, afterglows, rays of sunlight, and sundogs. Those ice crystals. Look, guys, trust who you want. You want to believe that this all exists, and then at the same time believe that 40 million pounds of micrometeoroids make it to Earth's surface every year? That is 2 million gram-sized bullets traveling 20,000 miles per hour that are blasting us every hour. And you think satellites exist? Folks, they just don't. The globe is impossible. Space is a hoax. And I know it's hard to admit, because all the cool kids believe in it, all the cool kids think we live on a ball, all the cool kids think we spin, but not me. Nope. I'm a bit different.
I'm not really interested in being like the cool kids. Like the cool kids.
One more time, just for fun. Come on.
I'm not really interested in being like the cool kids. Like the cool kids.
All right. I know what you guys are thinking. Prove it to you, right? Okay. You twisted my arm. I'll go ahead and do that. So let's start with, how about the definition of the word geographia? You can look that up for yourself if you like, or you can see here that it stands for a vivid representation of the Earth to create an illusion of reality. As mentioned earlier, that most surveying measurements are carried out as if the surface of the Earth were perfectly flat. The method of surveying based on this assumption is called plane surveying. In plane surveying, you neglect the curvature of the Earth, and it uses the principles of plane geometry and plane trigonometry to compute the result of their surveys. The use of a plane surveying method simplifies the work of the surveyor. Within a distance of 20 kilometers, the effect of the Earth's curvature on our measurement is so small that we can hardly measure it. Let's look into that. So let's see, they seem to think that 20 kilometers doesn't have a big effect. Well, that's 12 miles, and 12 times 12 times 8 is 1,152 inches. Divide that by 12, and that's 96 feet. So if 96 feet of curvature does not make a big deal to a leveler or a surveyor, we've probably got an issue. Let's look at the next point. Talking about this diagram here, it is going to go ahead and tell us that by definition, the curved surface of a sphere is termed a level surface. I'll repeat that again. By definition, the curved surface of a sphere is termed a level surface. The direction of gravity is perpendicular to this level surface at all points, and gravity is used as a reference direction for all surveying measurements. The vertical direction is taken to be the direction of gravity. In addition, the horizontal direction is the direction perpendicular to the vertical direction of gravity. Let's just say that this could just say right here, the Earth is flat, and we're going to try and talk a bunch of shit in another direction. But that's what they're basically saying. Most surveying activities are performed under the pseudo-assumption that measurements are being made with the reference to a flat horizontal surface. This requires some further explanation. The Earth actually has the approximate shape of a spheroid, that is, the solid generated by an ellipse rotated on its minor axis. However, for our purposes, we can consider that the Earth to be a perfect sphere with a constant diameter. In addition, we can consider that the average level of the ocean or mean sea levels represents the surface of a sphere, and therefore we take it as flat. Interesting. So first, let's take a look at this beautiful picture of the spinning ball Earth and realize that as the world goes through its orbit around the sun, we spend a quarter of the year in each season. So based on that, would you also agree that the South Pole gets the same amount of sun as the North Pole? It would have to, correct? Then does somebody want to explain why we have a gigantic continent called Antarctica, where only one animal really lives? But on the north end, there is not a gigantic ice continent. Someone needs to explain to me how they could be different when, based on the globe, they should be the exact same. So now let's look at the next diagram, and we'll go ahead and take the red line and put it straight through the Earth's axis. And if the Earth is at a tilt, as shown with the red axis there, then why does the green equator get the bulk of the sun? The equator doesn't even make a difference anymore. It's no longer the middle. And if the atmosphere spins with the Earth, then why does the Coriolis effect happen at all? How could the spinning of the Earth cause winds to go in certain directions or cause anything to happen if the entire atmosphere is connected to the Earth as it spins? Should make no difference at all, but of course, we know how the globe earthers work. Now, people often bring up the whole train example, talking about if a train is traveling in one direction and you're inside that train, you could throw a baseball back and forth and the direction of the train would make no difference. Well, I challenge you with this, as I used to take a train to school every day for many years. If you were to get on that train and run in the direction that the train is traveling, do you think that that is easier or harder to do than if you were at the other side of the train and tried to run against the way the train is traveling? Well, if you've never done it before, I will tell you it is certainly much different to run in the direction the train is traveling. Therefore, when you're on Earth, if you're running in the direction to the east towards the spinature of the Earth, you should not be able to stop, turn around, and run the other direction at the exact same speed, or even with no resistance, and that's exactly what happens on Earth. So that brings us to our next little diagram here. As we go through space around the Sun, the elliptical orbit causes a change in speeds, yet we don't feel it, meaning that when that Earth turns the corner, it's got to change speed. That's how the laws of momentum work, but we don't feel it. Do you feel any rotation? How about an orbit? Do you feel that you're in a 66,000 mile per hour orbit? How about any speed? Do you feel that speed? Nope. How about these red lines shown on the screen? Do you feel like you are swinging down and then back up on the spinning Earth? Down and then back up? Didn't think so. Let's go on to the next one. A lot of people ask, how does the analemma work as far as the flat Earth goes? And let's take a look first at this planetarium software and show you what that actually is. If you see me changing the months here, you'll see that the sun goes through a little infinity symbol in the sky, and I am actually standing at the equator and looking directly west. And in a second I'll show you as I spin around and look south and then north that I've got both the celestial north and celestial south at the two ends. You'll see here we're on the equator, and that's what makes that analemma figure 8. Actually makes that from all over the Earth, but to get that one right at the west or the east, you'd have to be at this spot. So you'll see I'm looking at the celestial north from there, where the stars rotate counterclockwise. And we'll spin around here and look at the south, and looking at the celestial south, and you'll see that the stars spin clockwise. So that's what gives us that figure 8 kind of motion. But the same thing happens on the flat Earth, so we can see that here. So you'll see here, this guy is looking up in the sky, and because the sun goes around the flat Earth, starting with the Tropic of Capricorn, moving to the equator, then the Tropic of Cancer, then back to the equator, then back to the tropic in the middle, it keeps its figure 8 motion if you're standing like he is, looking to the east. So same thing that we just saw. Now also, many people ask from this point, can you explain the stars? Well, yes. If you look up, you'll see he's now looking north, looking at the Polaris star and watching the stars as they rotate counterclockwise. And if he just turned around and looked the other direction, you could see him looking at the Crux constellation, looking south, where the stars rotate clockwise. So that's how we take care of that one. Here's just another program. This is at nullearth.com. And you can see by just picking something, I think here we're looking at the air temperature at a height of 70 mph, and you'll see it just kind of, it's a little bit iffy. Doesn't really look like it makes a lot of sense on the globe. I guess it could make a little sense. We'll spin it here and give it more of a tilt like the Earth has. And you'll see it just kind of gets stagnant there in the middle. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's try the flat Earth, see if it's any different. And you'll see there something that makes a lot more sense. You've got all of the outside going in unison around the edges, and you've got the middle that stays stagnant right there where the sun and moon go. Now we're going to try something else here. We're going to look at the ocean currents. And are we looking at waves? Waves. First we're looking at the globe. So you'll see here that doesn't make a lot of sense. It has nothing to do with the curvature, which we already know is at the axis, which, look at that red line, that's way up top. Doesn't make a lot of sense that that would have much to do with the spin. The waves are kind of going every which way. We got that high red area up there. Let's see if the flat Earth makes more sense. You tell me what you think. Does that look like it makes more sense that the water is very cold and moving in all one direction on the outside, and then on the inside we've got the exact track of the sun and moon keeping the water warm and keeping it moving in that clockwise rotation? Gives you an idea of where they got the idea of a analog watch, doesn't it? Same exact thing as the flat Earth, with the sun and moon moving, you guessed it, clockwise. Now we're going to look at the air temperature, and I believe we're going to stay on the surface here. So we're looking at the surface air temperature. We're adding some cloud cover. Looking at the globe, you'll see that makes no sense at all. Simply clouds going every which way. In fact, I see something breaking the Coriolis effect there. You'll see something clearly underneath the equator that is going in the opposite direction that it's supposed to. But you know, those things can't happen. Scientifically proven. Science. Tested. Fact. Let's try and see if the flat Earth makes any more sense as far as the cloud cover goes. Pop over to that AE, take a look at that. And again, we've got something that makes a little more sense. We've got the clouds just kind of staying where they're at, right there in the path that the sun and moon take. And the ones on the outside moving at a much quicker speed in the opposite direction. Have you guys ever looked up in the sky and seen two layers of clouds? Looks like one set of clouds is going one way, the other set's going the other way. Certainly looks like what we see on a flat Earth, whereas the globe had clouds going 45 different kinds of ways. Didn't make a lot of sense. Let's do a visual experiment. Join me. So first we've got this guy here at the North Pole, and we're going to call him number 1. So that must be me. Ha! Did you get it? No? Then next to him, to his right, is going to be number 2. Next, what we're going to do is continue that path of people. You can pretend they're holding hands if you want. I don't know. If it makes you feel weird, they don't have to hold hands. And it goes all the way around the side until we get to the South Pole, and that person is number 1 million. Okay, so let's pretend they're all there. Now we're going to start with number 1,000,001 and head back up to the other side, going back up to the North Pole, where that person would be number 2 million. Now notice that we're all facing the same direction. And by that I mean, let's pretend that we're all facing me, or facing the screen. And so what that means is that the people on the top would be facing technically south, the people on the bottom would be facing north. The person at the spot where I marked a W would be facing west, and a person marked over at the letter E would be facing east. And if you look at the 10 o'clock spot, that person up there would be facing southeast. So that means that as the world turns here in a moment, that the people on the left side, the numbers 1 through 1 million, will be watching the sun rise. And the people number 1,000,001 to 2 million will be watching it set. Hopefully you follow so far. So if we were to take two different people, let's take number 3 and number 999,999. Those two people are standing completely opposite each other, correct? Meaning their feet are pointed towards each other. They are upside down versus one another. Yet both of them are about to see the sun rising up from their feet. That is impossible because you can't live on a globe. Another thing is you can see that the people on the left side, as they turn towards the sun, would be kind of climbing a hill, like that first green arrow on your left, and now think that the people on the back side of the globe, as it rotated away and they watched the sun set, it'd be the equivalent, as you see in the lower left there, of a person falling away from the sun. Is that what it feels like when you see the sun set, or does it feel like the sun is setting? So here we have another visual representation of the same thing. You'll see the globe spinning with all the red-headed little fat-headed stick people. And as they're rolling around here, in a second I'll pause it where you can see that as those people are coming around, they would actually see the sun rising, But those two people are upside down each other, yet they both see the sun rise as shown. That is impossible. In fact, you should see at times the sun rising from your right side or from your left side. Want to see? So first you can see how by spinning kind of head over heels here, you would see how the sun would rise from your perspective. But why doesn't anybody understand when we spin left to right, why wouldn't we see this phenomenon of the actual light spinning, or the sun, entering our frame of view from the left and exiting the right? But it always comes from our feet up. Here we've got a little diagram for you to look at. You'll have to notice, and you can just take a globe at home and put a piece of cardboard on top. That plane is all you would be able to see from the top of the globe, admitted even by the globe earthers, that there isn't a perpetual amount of distance you can see. Therefore, that's all you see, meaning when you see the sun rise and set, you would only be seeing that short little arc. Yet it happens in 12 hours, and the moon somehow, or the sun somehow, both of them, go all the way around the globe for you to see them. Again, we show you here, there's the flat plane, that's all you'd be able to see. There's the sun, as that's when you'd be able to see it rising. And then coming up here, you'll see something that goes hand in hand with the coming lunar eclipse. Because at times, the lunar eclipse can be seen when the sun and the moon are both above the horizon. How is that possible that you'd be seeing the shadow of the Earth? No way. Sorry, Earth, not a globe. And these girls did a little science experiment by sending a balloon to space, and as can clearly be seen, they also found out the Earth is not a globe. Yet some people will tell us we see the curvature from an airplane. Well, I tell them, no, you do not. So here you see just a little bit more information on the actual path that your Earth takes when you believe in the globe. So let's look again at exactly what that is that you believe. And you have to believe if you are a globe earther. Not only do you think that we are spinning 1,000 miles per hour, but you also think we're traveling around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, which is 586 million miles per year. Not just that, but while we're doing that, the sun is also traveling around the Milky Way galaxy at 490,000 miles per hour, traveling 4.3 billion miles per year. Not just that, but while the sun is going around the Milky Way galaxy is also traveling around the universe at a whopping 2.2 million miles per hour, which means it travels 19.2 billion miles in a year, and yet when we get back to our starting point at the end of every year, the stars reset themselves back to right where they started, yet we're 19 billion miles away from our original point. That, folks, is some magical, cosmological bullshit. So I ask you to do just one thing, and that's contemplate on the globe and on space, because both are fake. I mean, do you think that if you stood and faced south for 10 minutes and then turned and faced north, it should feel the same on the spinning ball? Come on, guys, it's 2015. How long are we going to let these clowns lie about where we live? Listen, if the globe is true, so be it. I don't care one little bit. The reason I do care is because they can't prove it. To get us to believe in their globe, they spoon-fed us. A globe in every classroom, in every textbook, in every logo, in every billboard, every commercial, every single chance they got, they forced you to, one, believe in it, and two, to call anyone who doesn't an idiot. So folks, let's think. If the globe were true, why am I getting death threats? Tell me, please. Why am I getting emails saying, we're watching you? There's a reason. And why not force these genius scientists just to prove it? Name-calling and demeaning videos are not proof. And that's all I see. I know I'm not stupid, but I know proof when I see it. And when it has been shown, and ladies and gentlemen, they have shown us make-believe, CGI images, and why you might be okay with it, I'm not. My grandparents never knew where they lived, because they were lied to. And I'm going to make damn sure I know, before I die, where I live. And I'd appreciate help. And if not, I'll do it on my own, because
I'm not really interested in being like the cool kids. Like the cool kids.
So everyone, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. I am trying to return all of your emails and comments, I promise you. I'll get to it as soon as I can. Just wanted to remind you all to be kind to one another. Don't lie to each other. And don't forget the most important part, and that's open up your mind, because there's truth inside. So till next time, this has been Jeranism. Stay flat. Peace.